The wind howled across the dry plains of Kansas, carrying with it the dust of another long summer. Along that lonely road walked a woman in torn rags. Her name was Clara Bell. Once, she had a home, a husband, and a baby. But life in the Wild West had a cruel habit of taking more than it gave. A fire had devoured her cabin, sickness had taken her child, and the neighbors who once smiled at her now looked away. For 3 days, she had walked without food. Her lips were cracked, her shoes worn to threads, and her heart heavy with prayers that went unanswered. But still she whispered, "Please, Lord, just give me one more chance. I can work. I can earn it." And then she saw it. Far beyond the hills, smoke rising from a big ranch. The Hawthorne Ranch, the largest for miles, owned by Samuel Hawthorne, a man as silent and strong as the land itself. People said he had once been a gunfighter, but now he was a rich rancher and a widower. Clara hesitated at the gate. The house stood tall, clean, proud, everything she had lost. But hunger can quiet pride, and desperation has no shame. She stepped forward. Samuel was out near the stables when he saw her, a stranger, weak but still standing tall. "You lost, ma'am?" he asked in his deep, steady voice. Clara swallowed hard. "No, sir. I was hoping someone might have work, anything. I can cook, clean, tend to animals. I'll work for food. I don't need charity." He studied her for a moment, her thin face, her trembling hands. "When's the last time you ate?" he asked quietly. She looked down. "Yesterday, maybe the day before." He sighed, took off his hat, and said, "Come inside. You'll get water and a meal. We'll talk about work later." Inside the ranch house, the smell of wood and bread filled the air. 2 little girls peeked from behind the stairway. Emma, 8, and Lydia, 6. They watched the ragged woman sip water at their father's table. Their eyes were wide with the curiosity of children who had seen too much silence and too little love since their mother died. That night, Samuel gave her a room. Just for one night, he said. But when morning came, she was already awake, sweeping the porch, boiling coffee, cleaning the kitchen. She didn't wait for permission. She simply worked. When Samuel stepped out, he found her scrubbing the front steps, humming softly to herself. "You know," he said with a small smile, "I didn't hire you." She looked up. "I figured if I start before you can say no, maybe you'll change your mind." For the first time in months, he laughed, a real laugh, rough and honest. By noon, she had baked bread, washed clothes, and even taught his daughters how to fold them neatly. The girls began to follow her everywhere, and the ranch hands whispered that the house finally felt alive again. Days turned into weeks. Clara became part of the place. She sang softly while cooking, told bedtime stories to the girls, and her laughter filled the rooms that had long been quiet. But the West never forgets the past, and neither could she. One evening, a rider came thundering up the dirt road. His coat was dusty, his eyes cold. "You got a woman here named Clara Bell?" he shouted. Samuel stepped forward. "Who's asking?" "The name's Eli Drummond," the man spat. "She owes me money. Ran off before paying her debts." Clara froze in the doorway, fear written all over her face. "He's lying," she whispered. "He burned my home. He hurt my family." Eli sneered. "Careful, darling. You start talking like that, I might forget I'm a guest." Samuel's jaw tightened. His hand rested on his revolver. "You best ride off, Drummond. She's under my roof now." Eli smirked. "You'll regret it, rancher. She's bad luck." He rode away, leaving the dust of his threats behind. That night, Clara sat by the fire, shaking. "I didn't mean to bring trouble here," she said quietly. "Maybe I should go." Samuel looked at her across the flickering firelight. "You're not going anywhere. You've done more for this home in a month than anyone since." He stopped, his eyes falling to the photograph of his late wife. Clara's voice softened. "She was beautiful. She was," he said, "and I thought I'd never see light in this house again. But then you came along." The silence that followed was deep and gentle. Something between them shifted. Not sudden, not loud, but real. As weeks passed, Clara's place at the ranch became certain. Emma began calling her Miss Clara. Lydia followed her like a shadow. And Samuel, who had forgotten how to smile, began to remember. Then, one stormy afternoon, while Samuel was away in town, Eli Drummond returned. This time, he wasn't alone. 3 men rode with him. The thunder rolled as they dismounted, their boots heavy with bad intent. "Come on out, Clara," Eli shouted. "You can't hide behind the rich man forever." Clara pushed the children into the cellar. "Don't come out," she said, her voice shaking but firm. "No matter what you hear, Then she grabbed Samuel's shotgun and stood by the door. The men broke through the gate, shouting, laughing, drunk on revenge. When the first man stepped inside, Clara fired. The echo ripped through the rain. Another charged. She struck him with the rifle's butt. The third froze, shocked at the fury of a woman defending her home. By the time Samuel returned, the storm had nearly passed. Smoke still rose from the fence, and 3 men lay beaten and bruised in the mud. He jumped from his horse and ran to her. "Clara, are you all right?" She was standing in the doorway, face streaked with soot, holding the shotgun steady. "The girls are safe," she said, breathless but calm. "That's all that matters." Samuel stared at her, his chest tight. "You defended this ranch like it was yours." She looked at him, eyes full of tears. "Maybe it feels like home." He took a step closer. "Maybe it is." The next morning, as the sun painted the fields gold, Samuel found Clara by the fence, mending it like always. He watched her quietly for a moment, the wind tugging at her hair. "Clara," he said softly, "you ever think about staying for good?" She paused, looking at him in surprise. "I wouldn't want to overstep, Samuel. You've already done more for me than I deserve." He looked toward the house, where his daughters were laughing and playing in the yard. "It's not about what you deserve. It's about what we need." His voice softened, trembling with something deeper than he could hide. "Clara, will you be the mother my girls need?" Her lips parted, but no words came. Tears glimmered in her eyes. "Samuel, are you sure?" He smiled, that quiet smile she'd grown to love. "More sure than I've ever been." Her voice broke as she whispered, "Then yes, I will." 2 weeks later, under the open sky, they were married. No grand church, no fine dresses, just family, ranch hands, and the sound of wind over wildflowers. The girls tossed petals in the air, laughing as Clara walked down the aisle barefoot. The old minister asked, "Do you, Samuel Hawthorne, take this woman to be your wife?" "I do," he said, his voice steady as the land beneath him. "And do you, Clara Bell, take this man and his daughters as your family?" Clara's tears fell freely as she whispered, "With all my heart, I do." When he kissed her, the ranch hands cheered, and the girls hugged them both. For the first time in years, the Hawthorne ranch echoed with laughter instead of loneliness. And as the years rolled on, the house grew brighter under Clara's care. Flowers bloomed near the porch. Laughter filled the air. At night, Samuel would find her sitting under the stars, eyes lifted toward heaven. "You still pray every night?" he'd ask softly. She would smile. "Always. Only now it's to say thank you." He'd take her hand, and together they'd look out over the land they'd built, not just a ranch, but a home. And sometimes, when the wind was gentle, Clara would whisper, "Thank you, Lord, for giving me a second chance." Because in a world as hard and unforgiving as the Wild West, mercy was rare. But sometimes, when hearts dared to open again, love was enough to build a new beginning. Clapperboard the end.